fish open, and inside the fish he saw 2 human babies. And then Adrika got liberated and she went back to the celestial planets. And inside the fish, 2 babies, very strange, 1 male, 1 female. So then he took the 2 children to the Maharaj, the local king, and then the king said, Dasaraj explained how he came across these 2 children, and then the Maharaj said, I'll keep the male and you keep the female. And so Dasaraj, he took the female baby back home, and he gave her the name Kali, because she had quite a dark complexion. But then as she was growing up, she had such a nice, sweet disposition that he named her Satyavati. And some time went on, and Dasaraj, he was a fisherman, but he also used to be a boat farer and would take people across the Jamuna. And so one day the great sage Parashara Muni came, and Satyavati was older at this point, and sometimes she used to do the work of taking people across the river. So Parashara Muni, he got on the boat, and then as they were going across the Jamuna, he became inspired by Yoga Maya that, I want to unite with this, with Satyavati and beget a child. And so he put this proposition to Satyavati, and Satyavati said, I'm unmarried, and this is in the middle of the river. What if people see this? Will create, a big disturbance. And plus, I won't be able to get married after this because my virginity will be lost. And then also, another name of hers was Matsya Gandha. Because she was born of a fish, she had a fishy smell. So she said, because I smell like a fish, this won't be very nice for you to get close to me. And then Parashara Muni said, I bless you that your virginity will remain intact, and then after this you will be known as Kasturiya Gandha. You'll be known, your scent will become like that of Kasturi, no longer a fish. Or also another name she was known as after that was Yojana Gandha. For 8 miles, the fragrance of Kasturi would fill the air. So then by his mystic power, some cloud enshrouded the Jamuna, and they went to an island in the middle of the Jamuna. If you go to Vrindavan, that island's still there in the middle of the Jamuna. And then they united and manifest a child, and that child instantly grew up, and that child was Vedavyas. And then that child took off on pilgrimage, and then his mother Satyavati was like, as soon as she gives birth to the son's going away, so she was a little disturbed by that. And Vedavyas said, don't worry, if you ever really need me, you just call out and I'll come. And so off he went. Some time went by, and now he's up in the Himalayas, and 3 k's above Badrinath temple is the last Indian village called Mana, and there is the Vyas Gufa where Vyas sat with Ganesh, and he narrated all the Vedas to Ganesh, and Ganesh scribed them down. So after he'd composed the Mahabharata, the Vedanta Sutra, all these different, divided the 4 Vedas, all of these things, he was still feeling some dissatisfaction in his heart. And then in the sky he saw a light, and then that light was coming closer, and he realized it was his guru, Narad Muni. And because Guru knows everything, Guru knows inside of your heart, Guru can see, he knows you better than you do. And so Narad Muni said, I can see you're feeling some dissatisfaction. And then Vedavyas was like, Gurudev, please, what is my fault? I thought I was serving you, and I've written down all these Vedas, but still I'm not feeling fully satisfied. And Narad Muni said, have you written about Krishna wrestling with his cowherd boyfriends, stealing the cloth of the gopis, stealing butter? Oh no, Gurudev, I have not written about any of these things. So, what have you written? And there's a very deep point in here. At this point, he has actually composed the Mahabharata. And what do we find in the Mahabharata? Bhagavad Gita. So, Vedavyas had composed Bhagavad Gita, but still, The Parampara wasn't satisfied. Vedavyas wasn't satisfied. Narad Muni wasn't satisfied because Vrindavan Leela hadn't been narrated yet. So Narad blessed Vedavyas, and then Vedavyas went into Bhakti Samadhi. And in his Bhakti Samadhi, in his loving trance there, he saw all the pastimes of Krishna. And the trance of Vedavyas has been very thoroughly analysed by Jiva Goswami in the Tattva Sandarbha. And Srila Prabhupada says in Adi Leela, Chaitanya Chamrita, all Vaishnava philosophers are the greatest philosophers. But out of all of them, Jiva Goswami is the best. And the Mahabharata is 100,000 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. But Jiva Goswami has composed over 400,000 verses of philosophy and poetry. And even some Western academics are starting to realize today that Jiva Goswami is the greatest philosopher ever. So we can't fathom how great are our acharyas. And so what did Vedavyas see in his samadhi? He saw the spiritual world, replete with the Antramandal, the inner portion, Goloka Vrindavan, with Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then he also saw the material world. And he saw the jiva souls in their conditioned state in the material world, in bondage, in the prison house of the material world. But he saw through bhakti, that is the means to get you out of material consciousness, out of the material world, into the spiritual world, into the spiritual consciousness. So then, when he came out of his samadhi, then he narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to Ganesh, and Ganesh wrote it down. And our entire sampradaya is predicated on this samadhi of Vedavyas and what he saw. And all of our acharyas since that time, they're all just further revealing, like there's a saying in the Pandits in India, all knowledge, both material and spiritual knowledge, is all just taking the remnants of Vyas. Vyas was such a genius. So that's a little bit. Krishna, Dvaipayana, Veda Vyas. So Vyas, if you take a circle and you draw a line directly through the circle, that's called the diameter. And in Sanskrit, that's called Vyas. So because he divided the Vedas, then Krishna, Dvaipayana, born on an island, Veda Vyasa. That's why he has that name. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, out of the sages, I am Veda Vyas. And in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Muninam api aham Vyasaha. Out of all the Vyasas, I am Dvaipayana. So here's the praman that the 28th Vyasa is Vishnu Tattva, and that is the expansion of the Vishnu Tattva. And the other ones are Shaktivish. So that's Dvaipayana Veda Vyas. Now we know a little bit about him. And there's so many pastimes all throughout the Sastra of the disciples rendering service to their Gurudev, and from this, all realization coming. Like in the Mahabharata, we see the pastimes of Daumya Rishi and his disciple Aruni, whose service was to look after the crops. And one time, in India they have the little mounds around the fields to hold the water in. And the rains was coming, so Daumya Rishi said to Aruni, make sure all the mounds are good so they hold the water for the crops. And so he went out, and there was one broken part of the mound, and he was trying to fix it, but the rains were coming and he couldn't. So himself, he put his physical body down and he lay there all night to hold the water in, because his guru had given him that order to do that. And then they came out in the morning, and like, where's Aruni? He said, oh, yeah, Gurudev, all freezing cold, shivering. And then Daumya says, you've done this service because you asked me. I bless you. Make all your studies of the Vedas manifest in your heart. And then another disciple of Daumya Rishi, upamanyu. His service was to look after the cows, and by this he got blessings from his guru. Another history, maybe you've heard of Krishna. Anyone heard of Krishna? His guru, Sandapani Muni, and one day the Guru Mata said to Krishna and Sudama, go out and collect some firewood. And so out they went, and then a big storm came in, and they'd collected the firewood, but they got stuck out in the forest, and it was raining, and they were shivering, cuddled up together all night with the firewood on top of their head to keep it dry. And then in the morning, Sandapani Muni came along, and he said, oh, you've done this nice seva for us. I bless you, Krishna. Whatever you speak, may your words become immortal nectar. And here we are, 5,000 years later, still relishing the words of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. So how's this coming? From the blessings of Guru. So even God himself, when he comes to this world, he takes Guru to show us the example, how important it is to have Guru. And another pastime, in Bengal, there was one guy called Duki. Duki means one who's very sad, dukkha, depressed guy. And then he met one guru, took Diksha, and he was given the name Krishna Das. So when you take up service to Krishna, you become happy. So his name was Krishna Das. And his guru sent him to Vrindavan, and you should go and study under Jiva Goswami. And so he went to Vrindavan, and like we just said, Jiva Goswami is the greatest philosopher. So when he got there, he didn't say, Jiva Goswami, he handed him a broom, and he said, I want you to do some sweeping seva. And Krishna Das didn't say, oh, I come here to learn philosophy, what is this sweeping? No, he said, oh, yes, Gurudev. And then so his seva was to sweep at Seva Kunj. And he used to sweep Seva Kunj, and he loved this broom so much. And he used to hug this broom and think, by this broom, by the seva, I will realize everything, Radha and Krishna, all this will come by the seva that Gurudev has asked me to do. So one day, as he was sweeping, he found one gold bangle. And he picked up the bangle, looked around, and my mom was there. And he took the bangle to his guru, Siksha Guru, Jiva Goswami. And Jiva said, hold on to the bangle, wait till the owner comes, don't give it to anyone else, only give it to the owner. And then after he went back to his sweeping seva, and after some time, 2 gopis came there. And they said, oh, Baba, you find a gold bangle? And he said, yes, I did. I'll only give it to the owner. And then those two gopis, they said, oh, our Saki, she's very chaste. She won't even look at another man. And then Krishna Das said, oh, I'll only give it to the owner. And then those 2 gopis said, oh, Baba, why do you want to see a lady for? Why do you want to look at a lady? And then Krishna Das said, no, it's not like that, but I can only give it to the owner. And then those 2 gopis said, oh, okay, you need to be blindfolded, and we'll go and bring her. So they blindfolded him, and then they brought her, and he heard them coming close, and then he got down on his knees and he held out the bangle. And who were those 2 gopis? Lalita and Vishaka. And who was the third? Radharani. And so Radharani pulled up his blindfold, and he had darshan of Radharani. And then she touched the bangle to his forehead and made a permanent tilak, indentation on his forehead. And so, in this way, getting blessings for Radharani, his life came perfect. But how did he get the blessings? All from Guru Seva. And in another pastime, if you go